like a growth doesn't happen automatically. You being here isn't going to get you anything, right? Nothing happens through osmosis. What happens after you leave here will be determined, and how intentional you are about that is going to determine, whether you get anything from the time and energy that you've invested. So we're going to talk about this in terms of gaps, right? Where we are versus where we want to be or could be. The first step is just realizing that you have a gap. So these are 8 common gaps that people have. The assumption gap, knowledge gap, timing gap, mistake gap, perfection gap, comparison, and expectation gaps. The assumption gap, that's going back to what I said a few minutes ago. That's assuming that by being on a webinar that you're going to grow. You may, but if you do, it's probably a result not of the webinar, but of the actions you take. So what happens if we just rely on automatic growth? What happens if we assume we're going to grow? I'll tell you what happens. Usually nothing. So let's not do that. The knowledge gap. You know, I don't know how to grow. Well, look, we all know when there's something that we want to get better at, learn about, do better at. And then there's actions we can take. And the actions we can take are everything from doing things like this, investing in yourself and being on a webinar that will cause you to think differently or think newly, what you read, who you hang out with, uh, having a coach, having a mentor. In 1996, the day that I learned there was a thing called coaching, I hired one. It's 2025. I still have a coach. I've had a coach since 1996. Oftentimes, I've had multiple coaches. So, what can you do? Who can you ask questions for? Who can you ask guidance? Who's the mentor that you have? Who's the go-to person? One of the reason, and this is not a commercial for our team, but one of the reason I know that people are on our team is because they want the support, they want the guidance, they want the mentorship. And that's something that we're very strong in because that's one of my core beliefs. We can keep going. The timing gap. It's not the right time to begin. Well, let me help everyone with this. There's never the right time. There's never the best time. There's never a good time. There's just time. And there's just when are we doing something to be purposeful and be intentional about what it is we want. Um, Here's what I know. The longer we wait for things, the worse things usually get. They usually don't get better, right? Time, for the most part, is not our friend or not on our side. Now, are there examples when it is? Absolutely. But for the most part, we want to move fast. We want to act quick. We want to operate with a sense of urgency. There's an adage. There's results or there's excuses. There's results or there's reasons why. You can't have both. So if you're going to have excuses or reasons, they're going to be at the expense of the results. The mistake gap. I'm afraid of making mistakes. You should be afraid of not making mistakes. If there's no mistakes, there's no growth. If there's no mistakes, there's proof that you're not pushing or striving or stretching to be better, right? If you're not making mistakes on a daily basis, then you really want to look in the mirror and say, okay, am I doing all I could be doing? I've made more mistakes. I've probably made more mistakes in a month than many people make in a year. I've made more mistakes than probably most people make in a lifetime. Um, but every one of those mistakes is a growth opportunity. Every one of those mistakes is a learning opportunity. Every one of those mistakes is an opportunity to step forward. The perfection gap. I need to be perfect. Well, I got news for you. Perfection is the enemy of good. It's the thing that stops you from becoming great. Trying to be perfect is an excuse. Trying to be perfect is a crutch. Trying to be perfect is something to hide behind. If you want to be good, put trying to be perfect out of your existence. The inspiration gap or the motivation gap. I don't feel like doing it. Well, I got news for you. There's a lot of things I don't feel like doing. There's other things I'd rather be doing right now. But I'm here and I'm doing this because I have a commitment. And my commitment is more important than what I like and don't like, what I want, what I don't want. If we operate that way, it's much easier to develop the discipline to do the things we need to do. If we always are operating on our feelings, it makes it really hard to be effective. It makes it really hard to be great at something. Now, we want to be aware of our feelings. We all have them. We're all human. But we want to understand what's the thought that's causing you to feel that way, right? If you're not feeling motivated, what's the thought that's causing you to feel that way? And then ask yourself this question, is that thought reality or not? More times than not, it won't be reality. It'll just be what your mind is telling you. The comparison gap. I'm not doing as good as this person. I wish I was like that person. This person's doing a lot more than me. They have a lot more money than me. Um, Comparing yourself to others is the best way to slow down or stifle your growth. Putting the blinders on and focusing on only one person, the person in the mirror, is the best way to grow. So don't make the mistake of comparing yourself to others or what others are doing or not doing. If you're not satisfied, then take action, because action is the only thing that moves you forward. The expectation gap. What's our expectations? Are we expecting when we join a webinar like this that we're going to get value, that we're going to get good ideas, that I'm going to have an open mind, be an open book, and let my mind absorb these things, and I'm going to take action on them? Or are we expecting that's going to be all the stuff I already know, or I've already heard it before? What our expectations are determines how we interpret things, determines how we absorb things. So the success formula is prepare, make sure you have the right attitude, putting yourself in the place where you have the right opportunities, and then you're taking the actions. Which gap is holding you back? For some of you, it might be multiple gaps, and that's okay. We all have them. But the awareness, like I said at the very beginning, is the most important thing. And then figuring out what you need to do to start taking the actions to bridge that gap.
Schedule a 15-minute call with me. Our team may or may not be for you, but we have resources for you, or we can direct you in another direction. The law of pain. Good management of bad experiences leads to great growth. The truth about pain is everybody has pain, right? Everybody has pain in their business. Everybody has pain in their life. And pain is something that we cannot avoid, especially in this business. A lot of us have the pain of transactions falling apart, have the pain of not having enough business, the pain of rejection. Write this down. Rejection makes me money. We have to figure out what our pain file is. What are our bad experiences? Because nobody likes them, but if we avoid them and we're in denial about the pain that we experience in life and in this business, we are not going to grow, right? To know yourself is to grow yourself. Sometimes we are like, you know what? I've never been through this. I don't even know what to do. I don't know what to say. And now you're in front of a client that calls you and they're like, hey, I need to list my house tonight, or I want to buy a house tomorrow. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have not done the work or practice the scripts. I don't even know how to look up property. And now you're stressed out and you're doing a bad job. You only have one chance to make a good impression. Okay. You don't have a second chance to do that. So the pain of incompetence, darn, I should have seen this coming. Has anyone had this before where they had a client call them and they're like, you know what? I didn't want to work with listings or learn anything about listings. And then all of a sudden a listing came up. Or, all of the changes with the NAR settlement came up and I don't even know how to sign a buyer broker agreement. Anybody? Can anybody relate? It's painful. In this business, buyers are looking for agents that they can trust, that know the business, that know their craft. So part of today is about sharpening the saw. The pain of disappointment, right? The pain of disappointment is, you know what? Maybe you got someone, you got the referral, you did all the marketing, you did all the social media, you did all the things, right? A lot of times realtors skip the processes, right? They skip the basics. They start doing their website, they start doing the videos, they start doing the funky TikTok dances for real estate. But guess what they don't do? They don't take a contracts class. Write this down, by the way. Take a contracts class with your board of realtors. That's why they're there. You have to be ready for Super Bowl Getting the client is the hard part. Then you write the contract, but you have to get the contract accepted. And one of the bad experiences agents have is if you write a contract and you're missing things and it's a good offer, guess what? You might not get that offer accepted and you just let your client down because you did not know how to write a contract. The pain of change, the pain of conflict. This is a conflict resolution business. Every seller is different, every buyer is different, every agent's different. All the negotiations are different. You have to know how to resolve conflict. And too many agents out there freak out about things that they can't control. One thing we have to remember is we're on the same side as realtors, meaning we have the same mission. So learn to resolve conflict. But part of the reason why agents have trouble resolving conflict is because they don't know their craft, right? They don't know conflict resolution strategies, negotiation strategies. And that's what our team has. That's why a lot of people come over to our team, because with the script practice and with the negotiation call conversion practice, you get to hear live calls and how to convert them and the objections that are happening. The pain of financial loss. The pain of financial loss is if I could only get that back, if I could only get my time back, if I were to prospect more. It's really important to look back and go, where am I at financially and what do I need to do or what do I need to change going into this new year so that I don't have this financial pain ever again? Because financial pain is scary. It is very scary. I've been there. I lost everything in the crash in 2008, okay? The pain of responsibility. They expect so much from me. The pain of responsibility is just you have to have boundaries with your clients. You have to let them know when you like your working hours, what your boundaries are, when you're going to get back to them. If you communicate, and over communicate, and how you're going to communicate, then you are going to get repeat business, and then you're going to be able to manage your time better. Turn your pain into gain. Here are specific ways to turn your pain into gain. Okay. So I want you guys to think about this. What is the biggest pain that you had in your business this year? Was it financial pain? Was it the pain of rejection? Was it a pain of not knowing all the technology? Was it the pain of not actually joining a team like the Heller Real Estate Group because your ego was too big? The pain of your ego going, you know what? I've been a solo realtor for 10 years and I've done well. The question is, how's that working out for you today? Okay. I see too many realtors, they had really great business, or when the rates are low, their business was great, but they need change. And guess what? No change, no change. You are the sum total of the leaders that are leading you and of your environment. And it is not looked frowned upon if you actually go on a team or if you team up with someone or if you collaborate with someone. And a lot of times we tell ourselves, you know what, I just need to be motivated. I could do that on my own. And it never happens, right? Or I'll figure out these CRM systems and I'll figure out my lead gen and I'll figure out my marketing. It's too much. You guys, for the most part, it's too much. I coach agents that are brand new agents, and then I'm in the business 25 years and are top producers. It's a lot for everybody. And that's why collaborating and thinking about going on a team or having a coach in your corner is really, really important. Jessica, can you read some of those off?
We've got pain of mindset, pain of technology, financial pain, pain of incompetence.
Define the problem, know what your problem is, understand your emotion behind it, and understand that if you don't take action, this is what your year is going to look like. Articulate what the lesson is. What was the lesson there? What was the lesson? Do I need help? Do I need to outsource? Do I need an accountability partner? Do I actually need to work this business like a business? Identify your desired change, brainstorm numerous pathways, receive each other's input, and implement a course of action. Take action, take imperfect action. The law of consistency.
As it says, motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you going. So consistency, in fact, two things really. Being consistent and being persistent will cause you to win more times than not. Okay, when I was a new agent, I didn't have any skills, I didn't have any knowledge, I didn't have any experience. But through being persistent, through being consistent, I started to win. And then I started to add skills. I started to add enthusiasm. I started to add experience. That made winning even easier. So applying the law of consistency, you can apply it everywhere in your life. But the three areas that are really important are in time management. And I'll be honest with you, I hate that phrase. I think it's a fallacy. I don't think you can manage time, right? I can't stop or start the clock, can you? All you can do is manage yourself. So instead of time management, it's managing ourselves in relationship to time. Lead generation, and then training and learning. What are we doing to be consistent in those areas? If I was going to add one more, or maybe a hyphen, it'd be lead generation / lead follow-up, right? You can generate all the leads in the world, but if we're not consistent in our follow-up, we won't get the results. We'll have wasted opportunities. We'll drop opportunities on the floor. So habits for consistent things, figuring out what's important to you, like a goal that's so important that you'll consistently do the things that you need to do, especially on the days that you don't want to. Like exercise. Right? I exercise every morning. It's a habit now. It's like brushing my teeth. But it's not always that way. And it wasn't always that way. But it became very important to me because it became so important to me, I was willing to do it on the days that I didn't feel like doing it, or on the days I was tired, or on the days I was sick. Put it in your calendar. Have a structure, whether it's a calendar is a type of structure. There'd be other structures. But do something. Like waking up in the morning. I've shared this before. My alarm clock or my phone is always in my bathroom. Why is that? Because when it goes up, it forces me to get out of bed, right? There's no snooze next to the bed. There's no, oh, I'll lay here for another minute. That structure causes me to be consistent on my wake up time. And then don't let yourself off the hook, right? No exceptions.
The law of awareness, you must know yourself to grow yourself, right? The thing about the law of awareness is you need to know who you are. Like people are never able to outperform their self image. Okay. It's just reality. Like, yes, you can do well, but you're not able to outperform yourself. And you can never go to the next level, like the highest potential, if you are not aware of who you are. So let's go back to that. So the law of awareness is really like, who am I, right? Who are you? Well, one, you're a realtor. You are the person that is helping people obtain the American dream, right? So when somebody asks you, hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a realtor. You can say something like, you know what? I help people obtain the American dream. It's knowing who you are and how you articulate who you are in this business is extremely important, because the most important thing is they need to know that you have confidence behind that. Okay. So the law of awareness is really, who are you? Knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. What is your disc? And what happens with your disc is you know your strengths and your weaknesses. So if you're a realtor that is an introvert, right? And you don't like talking to people, but you're out there just calling, and it's just not working. Like it's not comfortable for you. Find what works for you. If you're an introvert, a lot of introverts like systems. I know introverts that love door knocking because they actually don't want to build relationships with people because they want to be with people less. Okay. If your disc is, I'm a people person, I'm an ID, I'm a DI, I love to be out there, you should be teaching classes. You should be on a team like Chris's, calling people, prospecting. You should be doing videos. If you are more of like an empath and an S and a more supportive person, then you should probably be on a team because you have those people that are the DIs and the IDs and the drivers that are like building you up. If you're an unorganized person, which most realtors are, they're D's, and you know how to prospect, but you don't have any systems, then you need a team behind you, whether it's a transaction coordinator team, whether it's a team to help you, or a team like the Heller Real Estate Group. So you have to know what your personality is if you want to go to the next level. The other thing is what's your passion? What drives you in this business? What do you love to do? If you like working with downsizers, work with downsizers. If you love working with senior citizens, work with senior citizens. Find a niche. And Chris says this all the time, and he says it in his book, is have fun, right? Have fun in this business. But if you don't know who you are and where you want to go in this business and who you like working with and don't like, then you are not going to really enjoy this business, okay? And the thing is the more you know who you are, the more you know about your strengths and weaknesses, is where you can hone in where you need to be focusing so that you can, outperform yourself, right? So the law of environment.
When we talk about environment, environment can mean a lot of different things, right? It could be your physical environment, it could be the people you associate with, the people you spend time with. Let's talk about the environment, the people you associate with. This quote, speaks volumes, right? If you're always at the head of the class, then you're probably in the wrong class, right? Being a big fish in a small pond is the perfect way not to grow. We always want to put ourselves in the room with people that are smarter, that do more, that know more, right? That's how we get that. So if you want to change who you are, how you're doing, then one of the things you can look at is changing your environment. Now, you can also look at changing yourself. And what happens is when we change ourselves, we often change the environment and change our impact on the environment. But changing what you read, what you listen to, what you watch, who you spend time with. If you talk to anyone on my team and you ask them about the environment, they'll talk about support. They'll talk about training. They'll talk about accountability. Now, you may say, hey, I don't like any of those things. None of those things are important to me. Yeah, then you probably wouldn't be a good fit to be on the team. But my point is giving you an example of how an environment can support you in getting to where you want to go. Challenge yourself to always be in a new environment. Like the best investments we can make are not necessarily in real estate or in stock market or in precious metals. They're in ourselves, right? So doing things like you're doing right now, investing in yourself by spending this time, you're not spending any money because we're doing it for free, but time is money, but investing in yourself. So be aware of your environments. One of my early mentors used to always say, okay, if you can't control your physical environments, you can't control your business. If your house is a mess, if your car is a mess, if your body is a mess, your business is going to be a mess. So, who needs to go and clean out their car? Who needs to go clean out their closets? Who needs to go clean up their desk? If you do need any of those things, do it. Take action.
The law of trade-offs. What will you give up? So this business is all about focus. And when we focus, we need to focus on what we're going to trade. Okay. What are you going to give up in order to go to the next level? It takes discipline. In this business, if you start focusing and start making less time for things that are not serving you right now and serving your goals, you might actually lose some friends. Okay. People might think that you're better than you think you are. You are going to have less time for play. So, trade offs that are worth making is financial security for potential tomorrow. A lot of times, many of you will have jobs. You'll have second jobs, and you'll say, you know what? I need to keep this job because, and I'm going to do real estate part time because it's just secure. The thing that hurts people the most in this business is they never take the leap. Okay. First of all, you should have some money saved up if you really want to go full time. But one, they don't take the leap. They have the security, and then they actually don't hire a team like ours or a coach to help them go to the next level. You need to give up immediate gratification for personal growth. So, immediate gratification, like Chris was saying, sometimes I do things that I don't want to do. There is this YouTube, it's called Monk Like Discipline. I highly, highly recommend it. And it's like, okay, if I want to go get a drink of water right now while I'm prospecting, I have to train my brain. No, I don't need that. If I want to buy something, but I'm trying to save, then take the millionaire minute and walk outside, right? How can you give up immediate gratification for personal growth? And that's also with dieting, right? Give up the fast life for the good life. The fast life is just doing what everybody else is doing, following the crowd. Part of the fast life is getting distracted by the shiny penny, getting distracted by TikTok and doing all the fun things. But success and consistency is not fun, actually. Success and consistency is steady, and it's actually kind of boring. So you have to get used to like the mundane. Give up some security for some significance. There is the security of like we had talked about with your job, or what, I'm just going to do this part-time. But in your mind, you're like, gosh darn it, that realtor that sold me the house, that's why I got in the business. I could be better than them. Or I have all these friends that are killing it and they don't even have the business acumen that I have, right? Give that up. And then be willing to give up addition for multiplication rather than adding one more thing, like, oh, this isn't working, so I'm going to add this. And this isn't working, so I'm going to add this. Everything takes 2 to 3 times more energy than you think it does. And so make sure that you stick to it. A good resource is called the 12-week year. The 12-week year is great because it keeps you focused on 90 days. I'm going to stick with prospecting for 90 days. I'm going to stick with this program for 90 days. I'm not going to get distracted by the shiny penny. You have to know that real estate's a long game. A lot of times your first year you won't do that well, but then the second year you double it and then you triple it. And if you the law of design, by Susie Orman says, if you have a messy wallet, then it's going to be hard to be successful. To maximize growth, you need to develop strategies. You plan you or someone else will. So the law of design is kind of goes along with the law of environment. Applying the law of design for real estate. You have to glance backward to plan forward. So what were your goals last year? Did you hit your goals? And if you did, wonderful. If you didn't, why didn't you? And glancing backwards, I'd like you guys to write this down, okay? What worked? What worked in your business last year? Maybe you gained confidence, maybe you gained skill sets. What did not work? So you need to know what worked and what didn't work to go forward. You need to design your life, not your career. So this also goes back to DISC. Like, what do you love to do in real estate? Do you like talking to people? Do you like systems? The other thing is sleep when you die kind of mentality these days is frowned upon. Really successful in business, and then your family life is going to crap. Make sure that you prioritize your family and you have a system, design a system for your family. One thing that I recommend is get your family schedule, your husband's schedule, your wife's schedule, your kids' schedule, and then look at all of their events and then put them in your calendar now so you don't miss those things, okay? Multiply everything by 2 when planning. We talked about that earlier, that when you do plan, you need to give yourself more time. So after you take a class, my best recommendation is take an hour after a class and implement after every single class. It's kind of like going to a seminar. You go there 3 days and you go home and you don't have time for that, okay? So to develop strategies, you have to depend on systems. Systems are solutions, okay? So effective systems are a business plan. Some business plans are so cumbersome that you'll never look at it again, okay? How much money do you want to make? Take your average commission and then divide how much money you want to make by your average commission, and that'll tell you how many homes you need to sell. And then going back to that principle, divide that by 2 or multiply that by 2. The other thing is lead generation systems to generate leads. Most solo agents do not know how to generate leads. That's why being on a team like the Heller Real Estate Group, and if you just hopped on, we are hiring. So if you know of anyone in San Diego that is looking for a team that needs more systems, that needs to just get the foundational, systems to design their life. Many of you are in this business, you're getting business, but you don't have any time. You're like, I'm making money, but I don't have time. I just want my time back. That's one thing we actually do really well with our team is once your lead is under contract, you just hand it off and you go convert. And then you go convert and prospect, and you hand it off. You don't have to go to all the inspections and do the marketing and do the negotiating, okay? So lead generation system to generate leads. Do you have a CRM? Do you have a follow-up system? Do you have a way to nurture your leads? You are as good as your last sale. I can't tell you how many agents I coach that don't think they need anything, but their life is chaos. They do not have a CRM. They don't have a follow-up system. They don't even have a system like once a month I'm going to send an email or once a month I'm going to call these people. They have nothing. And you're going to be out of the business if you don't learn to do that or learn from a team like the Heller Real Estate Group. Personal time and family time system. What is that? When are you going to go to the gym? Chris and I, that's one thing that I relate to him. I live in Colorado. He lives in Montana, right? Like we are nature people. Nature's therapy for us. We go out and do that. Are you doing that? Are you making your time for yourself? Because you're good for no one if you're not taking care of yourself. Social media strategy and calendar. Social media is great, but do you have a system of where it's going? If they just go online and they're going to Never Land, what's the point? If you make a video, make sure that you have a system that you can send it all over the place so that you can multi-purpose it, okay? And we're going to go into Q&A. Chris, do you have anything to add to that before we go into Q&A?
No, like we could have literally spent 2 or 3 hours on any one of these topics, right? There's a lot to unpack with these. What we want to do is give all of our friends here in San Diego, a sampling of things that, hey, when you leave here in the next 10 or 15 minutes or whatever it is, that you leave with something of value, right? That would cause you to think of something that you hadn't thought of, or maybe you hadn't thought of in a while, or you haven't thought of this way. And if we did that, then mission accomplished. So for the last 10 minutes or so, let's just open it up. Questions and answers. It could be on anything that we talked about, anything you see in front of you.
And then make sure you guys book a call. And if you want the workbook and the recording, book a call.
If you can really develop the mindset, there's the popular adage, right? Every no gets you one step closer to a yes. There's a great book called 3 Feet from Gold. I mean, there's tons and tons of talk that's written and discussed about this topic, but I think we take things too seriously more times than not, right? Like none of this is all a game. It's a game called real estate that we decided to play, right? Whether someone says no or someone says yes is rarely a reflection on us, right? And so we can't take those things personal. Just like you, Griffin, when I was prospecting every day and I had friends or coworkers or colleagues, teammates prospecting next to me, we would have contests every day. Some days the contest would be who can get the most no's, who can get hung up on the most time, who can call back the people who hung up on them the most times. Having fun with it. And then back to something that we talked about earlier too is expectation. What's our expectations? If we're making calls, are we expecting that the person's not going to be home? Are we expecting that no one's going to answer? Are we expecting that they're going to be angry? Are we expecting that we're going to be disturbing them and it's going to be embarrassing for us? Right? Or are we expecting that this is going to be my best conversation of the day? Are we expecting that I'm calling this person at the exact right time that they need me? Am I expecting that on the other side of this phone call is a commission check? Right. And we're fortunate in San Diego, our commission checks are big. It makes those calls, makes those doors, makes those letters or note cards or everything else that we write or do a lot more rewarding.
Schedule a 15-minute call with me and just let me know, hey, this is my biggest challenge. Between Chris and I, we have so many resources. Our team may or may not be for you, but we have resources for you, or we can direct you in another direction. And if you guys want more of this, this is 7 of the 15 invaluable laws of growth with John Maxwell. We'll be doing a workshop, so stay tuned, send us a message, but book a call with us. We'd love to help you if you are looking for a team like Marseille and Abigail that just got off. They've been writing contracts and then Jeff has been in the meetings and Griffin's been in the meetings. Like the thing is a lot of leaders tell you they're going to lead you and they don't have the consistency or the resources, and that's what we're really good at is consistency, resources, and leadership.